Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Impact Summit, presented to you by Chism Group, LLC, on That Will Never Work podcast. Today, I present to you Miss Fann Sanders.
Hi, I'm Fann, and welcome to my session for the Entrepreneur Impact Summit hosted by Maurice Chism of the Chism Group. I'm so excited to present on this topic today, which is finding your footing in your entrepreneurial space. I'm excited about your entrepreneurial journey, and I'm glad that I get to share in it just a little bit in today's session. So, one of the things that I thought was very important to share was this thing about finding your footing. Because I know for me, it wasn't something that came naturally. It wasn't something that came easy. It's something that I really had to navigate through. So just a little background on me. My name, again, is Fann, and I have a company called Free Creative. Free Creative is a space where I meet Christian creatives at the intersecting of their faith and their creativity so that they can live and create on purpose. So practically, what does it look like for my faith to inform my creativity and to create art that glorifies God, right? In a very real and relevant way. So for me, it was difficult to navigate that space when I got saved. So what Free Creative does is just, it meets creatives kind of in that in-between space so that they can find clarity on how to use their creativity in the marketplace. So my entrepreneurial journey started kind of sort of in 2009. So in 2009, I got the name Free Creative, and it was Free Creative Media Productions at the time. I assumed that it was supposed to be like a production house, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't. So that quickly, whatever efforts that I took quickly fizzled and faded. And it wasn't until 2015 where I found myself in this space where I was really seeking God about purpose and what it is that I was supposed to do with my life. And at that point, the Lord had said to create art that reconciles people to Him. And so I said, okay, cool. What does that look like necessarily? Because at that time I had been creating, right? So bringing my creativity into this entrepreneurial space, it was hard for me to kind of like transition it because I didn't have a point of reference. And I know a lot of times for some of us, it can be a little daunting, a little overwhelming, especially if you have this fresh idea that you haven't necessarily seen before, but there's no point of reference to kind of give you a guideline, right? So in 2016, I actually started taking things seriously, and I registered and became an LLC. So, I made it official. So, here I am. I have this mission. I have this company, but I totally lacked clarity. And one of the things that really helped me find my footing is assessing or taking inventory of what type of entrepreneur I was. So today we're going to break it down into two categories, and I feel like these are the two kind of really broad categories that we can deal with today. And it's the category of visionary and the category of administrator. So it wasn't until I figured out which one of those two that I was that really helped me move forward in entrepreneurship, because knowing what type of entrepreneur I was helped to inform how I approached entrepreneurship, right? So I'm an administrator. I'm very creative, but I guess just over the years have become like very administrative, highly organized, detail oriented. So as an administrator, it's easy for me to see the details. It's easy for me to see the steps, to create an outline, to see process and implement structure. Whereas for a visionaries see big picture and they struggle with the details, right? So if you're sitting there and you're like, yo, that's me, like, yo, we're like halfway to cracking the code, right? So if you are a visionary, you are going to approach entrepreneurship in a different way than I would as an administrator. So as an administrator, my struggle is seeing the big picture, right? So where I can get an idea and say, okay, cool, I want to do this. I want to build this program, or I want to start this group or this community, whatever the goal is, whatever the project is, I'll see the step-by-step to it. And so what hinders me a lot is, you know, I'm not a trigger puller. I'm gun shy, right? I'm not going to jump out of the window because I want all of the information and I have all of the questions and I need all of the data, right? So that's how I function just as an individual. I'm just very organized. I see step by step, and visionaries, they see big picture, and they can tell you what it looks like and how it's going to be. And, you know, they see futuristically, but the day to day, what needs to happen to get there isn't always clear for the visionary. So today I just wanted to encourage you, whichever one you are, I just want to walk through some points to, encourage you in some things and hopefully bring some clarity so that you can find your footing in your unique space. Okay. So for the first, we're going to deal with visionaries first. The first thing is be okay with the 1,000,003 ideas that you get per day. As a visionary, like, ideas come easily, right? You get so many ideas. So the key for you is to write them down. Write down those ideas when they come. Don't trust your memory with them, because you never know what like groundbreaking thing that you just received that you threw away because you didn't write it down. So you want to write down those ideas and do not try to accomplish them all in the same week. So pace yourself. As a visionary, one of the things you'll have to learn to do is to pace yourself. And for me, I speak through a faith, scope. My encouragement to you would be to pray and ask God, okay, out of these 3,052 ideas, which one or which, couple are you asking me to run with right now? Because the thing about a visionary too is where they're willing to jump out the window and to, move on all of these ideas, their finish isn't always as strong. So you want to be sure that as an entrepreneur that you're setting yourself up for success by focusing on what's right now, understanding what's for down the road. And when you focus on what's in front of you, you'll be able to complete it start to finish, right? So be okay with all of those ideas. Write them down. The next thing is it's okay to not have answers, right? So again, visionaries see big picture. And a lot of times when you go to share your idea with folks, especially with people like me, as an administrator, I'm going to ask you all the questions. I'm going to say, okay, cool, that sounds great. So how are we going to do this, and how does this work, and what do we need, and when do you want to launch it, and so on and so forth. So the key is to be okay with not knowing the answer, and don't let not knowing the answer make you feel pressure. Get into the habit of saying, I don't know. Be okay with saying, I don't know, or let me think through that, or I'm still working through that idea. I'm not quite sure. So don't let everyone else's questions make you feel pressure. Okay. So it's okay not to know all of the answers. The next thing is to be kind and be gracious to yourself. Give yourself grace when it comes to the administrative tasks that you have to do. Wouldn't it be lovely to be able to staff your need, right? So our weak areas, it would be so great if we could just kind of delegate that to someone else. But as entrepreneurs, especially if we're solopreneurs, a lot of times we have to do the thing that we're not the greatest at, because that's just part of the process. So, don't let the task, the administrative kind of, systems, process, filing, keeping track, organizing, don't let those things become overwhelming for you. Pace yourself again. And, just be kind with yourself. Mark out a time, find something that works for you, but don't let it be a pain point to the point where you're not being productive as an entrepreneur, because you're afraid to kind of tackle those areas that may not be your strengths. Go into them and give yourself, grace. Be patient with yourself. Okay. The next thing to absolutely understand as a visionary type entrepreneur is that everyone is not going to see what you see, and that's okay. Right? So as a visionary, you see these big, grandiose ideas. You see these companies, you see them like full out, right? In future form, fully functioning, right? Everybody doesn't have the mind capacity to see those things, to see futuristically like you. And especially if we're dealing with people who live, and there's nothing wrong with this, but who live within like a 9-to-5 box, and they like routine and they don't really want to deviate too far outside of that. When you share your ideas with folks like that, just expect people not to get it and be okay with it. Don't let their lack of seeing what you see be an offense to you and discourage you from going after the big dream, right? As visionaries, I also want to encourage you to recognize the people around you. For me as an administrator, I often find myself collaborating and partnering with visionaries because it's such a beautiful collaboration, because what their strength is my weakness, and vice versa. And so the exchange is very equal, it's very reciprocal, and it's beautiful, right? It helps me see bigger and it helps them get organized. So as a visionary, take an assessment of the people around you and see who you're supposed to be partnered with, connected with, and see the value in someone else's strength. Like, I remember there was a time where I was working it was a former leader of mine, definitely a visionary. And I would get pulled in to hear these great, visions and hopes and dreams and things that they wanted to do. And so just the way I'm wired, I'm automatically thinking, okay, how can we accomplish this? What do we need to put in place? How can we organize this? We need this part and this part and this part, right? So that's how my brain works. And so then I start asking questions, and automatically I was shut down and told to stop thinking and just dream. And while I understand where that came from, at the same time, that person wasn't able to see how my value or my gift could work to help them get to their end goal. So just know that everybody isn't going to be like you, and everybody doesn't have to be like you. Everybody shouldn't be like you. Let's, take a look and find the value around us. As a visionary, you don't want to be in a circle of just visionaries only. You need administrators in your circle as well, just like administrators need visionaries in their circle, right? So hopefully that was helpful, brought some clarity to you as far as finding your footing. So once you figure out, if you've identified in this moment, hey, I am a visionary type entrepreneur. So where I get stuck at are these processes, because you may be able to get something up and off the ground and running, right? So you have your business, it's going, but you're failing because your infrastructure is poor, or you lack processes, right? Receiving things, organizing client information, scheduling, those things aren't necessarily your strength. So what you want to do is either one, spend some time strengthening those areas, or two, find someone in your circle, people who you know that you can, maybe barter with, or hire the service if you're at that point where you can do that, to have somebody come in and organize for you, clear out your inbox, in your mail, or go through and respond to people, whatever the case may be. Just make sure that now you're approaching entrepreneurship in a way that is most efficient and effective for you so that you can have the most impact. So next I'm going to move on to my administrators. Woohoo! So a couple of points that I have for administrators, and I really do hope this is helpful. The first thing I want to encourage you with, the first point, is ask your questions. Don't be afraid to ask the zillion and 10 questions that you have, okay? Because I know you have them. I have them. And a lot of times, especially if we're dealing with the visionary, they may not have all the answers, right? They may not know or be sure of what the next step is. So don't let that discourage you, and don't let that make you timid about asking your questions, because I guarantee you they need your questions, because it's going to bring them clarity. It's going to cause them to think about things that they didn't consider before, right? So don't, let the faces intimidate you to stop asking your questions. And then also be mindful that the speed in which our questions come can be a bit much. So you do want to just be aware of your approach when you're asking the questions. You may need to temper it with, hey, so I'm going to ask you some questions, and I know you may not know all of the answers, but you may want to jot them down because they'll be helpful later. So if ever, if it gets to a point where it's too much, just let me know. But let's run through these questions. It's going to be helpful. So be confident in asking your questions, all 3 jillion of them. Okay. The next is you think differently, you process differently, and that is okay. So just being confident in how you think and how you process, trust me, it is so valuable to someone else. It's so valuable to the person who doesn't think and process the way that you do, in a very organized and methodical way. And give yourself patience and grace, right? Give yourself space to take the time to think. There are going to be things that you're not going to be able to offer right away, because you have to sit and you have to think about it. Like for me, if I'm creating a process or some type of system, I may need to sit with it for a day or so and think through all of the nuances and all of the moving parts, right? So if you don't have answers right away, it's okay, right? Because the way you think and the way you process is a bit different. So embrace that, and don't let that make you feel different, or don't let that make you feel like you have less value, because other people, they can come up with responses off the cuff. But for you, because you're an administrator, you have to think through and process. Now, we do get to the point where we've done something so many times that we can process quicker, and that just comes with time and practice. But don't be afraid to take your time to think and process the way that you do. Okay. The next thing is be okay with the unknown. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not a trigger puller. Right? It takes me a minute to launch something, because I want to make sure that everything is together. All of my ducks are in a row. All of my I's are dotted. My T's are crossed. And so I can be so consumed with having everything perfect or right that I never even launch. You know what I mean? I may be so concerned with not knowing the next step, or not knowing this piece of it, or how this is going to play out, because I want to know all of the details. I want to know all the steps. I need all of the data. What it really does is it hinders me, right, from being able to even move forward and be productive as an entrepreneur, because now I have all of these great ideas, but they're sitting waiting for, I don't even know. Right? So don't be afraid of the unknown, and don't be afraid of discovery. There's so much value and beauty in discovery and walking into those unknown spaces. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but we here, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a great place to be. And it's okay when you're there. and you don't have all of the information. So as an administrator, I know it's tough because you want your form to be completely filled in, right? You need every cell populated with the data, but it's cool. Learn how to be okay with moving forward without all of the information. Don't be afraid of the unknown. The next thing is to not be afraid to do the work of discovery, right? So as uncomfortable as it is, be okay with sitting down and taking your time, right? So for me as an administrator, the big picture doesn't come easily. The big picture is what I have to work at. So while the visionary sees the big picture and they have to work really hard about those details, the details are easy for me, but the big picture isn't always clear, right? So don't be afraid of the work of discovery. Like, I've found myself sitting in the rocking chair and just closing my eyes and saying, okay, Lord, show me this end game. Show me what this looks like in the end, because now I know what I'm moving forward toward, right? And sometimes as an administrator, if I don't know where I'm going, I'm not going to move because I need a destination to put into the GPS. So if I don't have a destination, we not starting this car. It's not moving. But in order to be productive and to make progress, you have to be okay with doing the work of discovery, taking that time and being okay with it coming slowly. You know what I mean? Like, we have the steps, so implement the steps. And while we're implementing the steps, also just do that self-discovery work and do the work of discovery and seeing that big picture. The last thing I want to encourage you with or give you is don't discount your value, right? So as a creative who is an administrative type of entrepreneur, I was like, man, I don't want to be the one bogged down with all the, the tasks list and the administrative and organizational stuff. That's not creative, but that's a lie. It is very creative. Being able to create solutions is so valuable, and that is creativity at its best. So as an administrator, don't discount your value, right? Don't look at the visionary and be like, oh, they're so dope because they see all the things. It's cool because you have the steps to get to all the things, right? So just see yourself as valuable, knowing that coming up with a process, knowing that being structured and organized is creative, and it will lead to you doing the best and making the most impact in your entrepreneurial space. Okay, so thank you guys so much. My hope is that this session helps you lean a little bit more into your strength, helped you to see what your strengths are and how they will aid you, right, as you move forward as an entrepreneur. Man, I just hope this was prayerfully. I hope this was valuable, and I hope this was something that you can kind of take away with you. And let's connect. Let's stay in touch. I'm excited about your journey. Listen, you can follow me on Instagram at Fann Sanders, Facebook, same thing. Find me online at fannsanders.com. I would love to connect with you. If you go to the website, please sign up for the mailing list. You'll get a monthly newsletter, so I'm not going to inundate your inbox with a bunch of emails. But once a month, I'll just make sure you're in the loop. Plus, you'll get access to resources and tools that help creatives get organized and help creatives find a process so that they can complete projects start to finish. And also you can go to the website and purchase my first ebook. So I would love to see you guys online. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your attention, and God bless you as you move forward and find your footing in your entrepreneurial space.